Tonight, tributes are pouring in for celebrity chef and TV host Anthony Bourdain. The 61-year-old was found dead inside a hotel room in eastern France this morning. Police are telling us he took his own life. Bourdain was in France filming his CNN show Parts Unknown. His girlfriend, actress Asia Argento, posted this statement on Twitter. Anthony gave all of himself in everything that he did. His brilliant, fearless spirit touched and inspired so many, and his generosity knew no bounds. He was my love, my rock, my protector, and I am beyond devastated. His death comes just, of course, 3 days after fashion icon Kate Spade was found dead in her New York City apartment. She also, sadly, took her own life. Now, tonight, we want to talk about suicide. It's a disturbing trend that's too important to ignore. Joining us tonight, we have Hannah Piercy. She created a Facebook group Stigmatized after her husband sadly took his own life. And Dr. Ben Hunter, a psychiatrist, medical director of outpatient services at Skyland Trail. Thank you both for joining us. Very difficult conversation that we have to have. When something like this happens, the cliche is these are rich and famous people. They have everything that we want. But sadly, we don't know what's going on inside someone's head.
Absolutely. You mind if I speak on that?
Please.
You know, my husband, we had, for all intents and purposes, a beautiful, perfect life. Like, we had a nice house. We had a child on the way. He had a good job, his dream job, and we never saw it coming.
Really?
He wasn't the type.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben, when you have clients, you know, are you able to see it coming, or does it sometimes just happen overnight?
You know, as a psychiatrist and as a mental health practitioner in general, we have the privilege of hearing some things that patients will never reveal anywhere else in their lives. And I think if anyone's going to see it coming, I think often it does come to our office. But at the same time, it is really hard to understand what people are going through at some points. And I think sort of the message from a lot of these sort of situations is that no one saw it coming, and unfortunately opening the conversation earlier might have created a different outcome.
Yeah. You know, one thing that we do have, if there's any sort of good news about this, I read today, calls to the Suicide Lifeline have ticked up in the last couple of days because of that. But how do we, as family members, loved ones, how do we make sure that, you know, we're talking to our loved ones? What are the warning signs we can look for?
There was if they talk about death a lot, or if they start giving away their possessions, changes in mood, increased alcohol or drug abuse, mood swings. I'm sure you have much more to say too, but that's some of the things that we saw.
Yeah.
You know, really critical elements. I mean, really any change in behavior, any sense that any family member or loved one has that their loved one may need help, there's never a wrong time to reach out. There's never a wrong time to ask questions and start to figure out what's going on.
All right, just the beginning of the conversation. Hannah and Dr. Hunter, they're going to be leading a discussion on Facebook Live. You can join us starting at 5:30. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right.